This is Trophy Gold, Hester's Mill, Part 2. A little bit of recap. Your characters had reached this region called Torrens Bend in order to find the abandoned village of Hester's Mill. The land of Torrens Bend and the village are abandoned because of this grim history surrounding it. This history was about a century ago when this wicked usurper lord called Galdrin tormented the people of Hester's Mill and the wider region as well. And they all rose up against him and overthrew him, but they did so in a way that was so bloody and displeasing to Saint Hester. Saint Hester blighted the land. The land has come back, but the people have not. And so now it is just an overgrown region, and you are hoping to find leftover relics and antiquities that might be worth money to help you fulfill your various drives. And you had arrived in Torrens Bend. You had found the ruins of River Rock Keep and stayed the night there. You encountered some monsters of different types. And importantly, you found the road to Hester's Mill, which is what we're going to talk about when we kind of get going, because that's the next set, the road to Hester's Mill. I do want to check in with the characters, though, in terms of their core block of info. This is for people watching the video, but also so that we're reminded of it too. So right now, Obeha has 3 burdens, no gold in cash, but presumably some treasure worth gold.
No.
Oh, you don't have any of that either?
No, everybody else has been
You need
picking
money.
up.
Go get money because you have 3 burdens. You have 1 hunt roll token, however, that's good. And you have 4 ruin currently. Cassian has 3 burdens, 1 gold in money, in addition to any treasures you might have, 1 token, and 2 ruin. You're in good shape as far as ruin goes. And Bonnie, 3 burdens, 1 gold in cash, 2 tokens, and 2 ruin. So apart from that 4 ruin on a Beha, you're all in pretty good shape so far.
I do have a question about Bonnie. She has 2 pieces of armor and a weapon.
Oh, yep. That means your burden should be 4, Bonnie. Yep, that's a good point. So...
And I have a question about gold. So if we found something that's worth 1 gold, it gets transformed later?
Yeah, so you keep it in found equipment for now, and then it can stay there forever, or if you want to cash it in, you can cash it in later.
When you're back in town or something like that?
Yeah. So you can use it to meet your burdens. So
thank you.
Fantastic. Let's talk about the next set. So some of you had more restful sleep than others of you. But in any case, you are all, it's early in the morning. I think the sun is up enough to cast everything with a sort of like warm orange glow, and you can see pretty well. You are in kind of an elevated position, as we've established before, and you can see the road. And from your elevated position, you can actually see essentially like what sorts of things are waiting on you on the road, right? Or what might be in the area. This land was mostly clear cut for farming, and so you just have a good view of everything, right? There is trees here and there, but it's not super thick tree coverage. The road is overgrown, the road to Hester's Mill, but it's easy to follow once you find it. Because you're in this elevated position, you can see essentially where all the important remaining areas in the incursion. You do see that campsite, now that you know where to look in the day. You can see it off the side of the road. It's not right on the road, but it's pretty close by. There's a campsite there. You do see a little further ahead on the road a shrine. These little roadside shrines are pretty common, especially in the time period when this place was really active. And this is almost certainly a shrine to Saint Hester. And then you can see further ahead the village of Hester's Mill itself, presumably just because there are standing buildings still, and it looks like it might be the village. North of the village, there is what appears to be a surprisingly intact farmhouse in a very, very like lush, verdant field of corn, or at least around it. and that's north of the village. And a little south of the village, there is what appears to be a gallows hill. You can see the silhouette, the plain silhouette of a gallows where people would have been hung. This also lines up with the story because apparently Lord Galdrin was quite cruel and routinely executed people. And so you're on the road. You at least know where to go. You can kind of see what's ahead of you. You have a new set goal. The Road to Hester's Mill set goal is learn the secret history of Hester's Mill. Now, the secret history has already been hinted at a little bit in one of the characters' dreams. I can't remember who dreamed it, but it might have been Bonnie. Now, it was a dream, so who knows how much of it's real, but it definitely seemed to indicate that if it was a prophetic dream, or if it was a sort of like a dream that has some reality to it, if it was looking back into the past, then there's more to the story than what you were led to believe. But I'll type the new set goal here. This is an example of what's essentially an out of character goal, because I don't think your characters know and maybe don't even care about the secret history of Hester's Mill, right? But as players, you might care, and it might be helpful to know as a player. So with all that said, I think we'll just pick up with all of you in that elevated spot looking down at the road. And if you want to head out, you can, but otherwise we can just have that scene. So take it away.
So I'll give a quick start. So Bonnie wakes up after everyone else, and she's got bags under her eyes, and kind of is moving much more sluggishly, and her eyes are kind of at half mast for the first few minutes that she's awake, and she just kind of holds her head to steady herself, and then gets up and stretches and looks around. She turns to the other two if they're awake and says, "Don't count on me for the near future. I just need to wake up. I'm sorry, I had a rough night."
Go ahead over here.
That is fair. Seems as though today's going to be a lot quieter than yesterday, at least. Doesn't seem that there's anything immediately about skulking.
Cassian is standing at kind of the lip of the promontory, looking at Hester's Mill and the surroundings in his spyglass. He lowers his spyglass upon hearing Alex and Obeja, and not giving Bonnie and Obeja, and gives Bonnie a nod and says, "Well, get your strength about you. We're gonna need your sword arm today. There's something big down there I spotted last night."
Oh, yes, that was a detail that I forgot to mention. You saw a dark, shadowy thing hulking, stalking the area at night. So, yeah.
And I reckon it has something to do with them punches in the walls of this keep. And he punches to one of those big holes in some of the fortifications.
If it's that big, it probably is not something we can fight.
I think you're right, Obeja. And he hands his spyglass to them and says, "But look down there. There's a shrine. We might find some gold in there to loot."
Yes, or at least it gives us a tracking points to get towards the village.
At the mention of the holes in the keep, Bonnie goes a little pale. Jason, remind me, sorry, I forgot a bit about the the dream, but there were elements of the dream that had to do with the keep
Yeah.
and the holes in the keep, if I remember correctly.
There were. So first of all, you were looking at the dream through the perspective of Lord Galdrin. You established that because you saw his signet ring on his hand. And also because all of the soldiers were like asking, like, encouraging you to do something or get out of here or whatever, right? And there was this like horrifying nest of crow-like creatures with one large central one and a bunch of little ones and a bunch of black tentacles. The nest was a black tentacle mass that had seemed to have busted through the wall, right? So.
And Bonnie did have the signet ring still on her as well.
Where does your signet ring come from?
It came from the dream.
Oh, that's right. You took it back with you from, that's right. You have it now. That is a good point. Thank you. Yeah, that should be in your treasure if you didn't note it, Bonnie. Yeah, that's an interesting detail because it implies that either you found it and then that's what prompted the dream, or it came back with you from the dream. There's no telling, but you can add that to your found equipment, Bonnie.
Bonnie looks at the ring that's in her hand and decides that she doesn't want to deal with that. It's freaking her out way too much. That this creature, which terrified her all through the night, could possibly have been real and still be around possibly. So she does what all sane people do. She just pretends that it doesn't exist, and sticks the ring in her pocket, and tries to get on with getting ready and making breakfast and maybe finding water and these kind of everyday routine things that kind of give her some calm.
Yeah, I like that. That's good. I've noted the carrots and the signet ring in your found equipment. Here's a good point, a good time to point out. You have 3 slots in your backpack equipment, everybody. Those are like open slots. So when you are getting ready to do a roll and you need a piece of equipment that would be helpful, you can click on the drop down that's in those little spots and pick anything from the list, and it's like you brought it with you. So. Fantastic. Well, at some point, are you all going to head out?
Yeah. I think we get ready, and it's sort of a montage of like getting breakfast, getting the water, and what have you, and then we're just going to head out.
Yeah, I think that's great. Yeah. Okay, fantastic.
I really want to get to that shrine first.
Mm-hmm.
What about those people that we saw around the campfire?
So in terms, are they kind of all in the same location, Jason? The gallows, the farm?
No, the shrine and the camp are closest to each other. They are along the road. To get to the gallows or the farmhouse, it's fastest to go through the village. Or you can cut across the unpaved part of it, just cut across like just wilderness essentially to get to the farmhouse or the gallows hill. So you can bypass the village if you want to go to those first, but you won't be on the road anymore. So, but the shrine and the campsite are on the road.
So they're on the way?
They're on the way to the village, yeah.
Okay, so we have to pass them anyway. If we follow the road.
If you follow the road, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. I think we start there.
I mean, they could be competition. We should know if we need to step up our game. We don't want to get to Hester's mill and have the entire place be looted of all valuables.
I honestly doubt that. From what I can see from up here, it doesn't seem like it's a whole big gang of people, so there's only so much a single of like a few people can carry, really. So there's probably bound to be more things.
Let me look at that again, and Cassian grabs the spyglass from Obeha if they let him, and then he looks again in the direction of the fire to see if he
Yeah.
can spot out anyone during the daytime.
Make a 2-die hunt roll. We're going to be using the die roller again. It's there you
I
go.
got a 2 and a 4.
So the 4 is what we care about. Take your token, but you encounter something terrible. What you will see is there is someone at the campsite, a man. He is perfectly naked and covered in blood and gore. And he's taking essentially like a wash basin and cleaning the blood from his face.
Cassian, what do you see?
Just one man. I think we can totally take the gold from that shrine.
Yeah, if it's just one person, it's again only so much can they carry.
All right. Well, I mean, if that's what you think, then I'll go with you.
Is as I look at the man, is there like a bundle of clothes and equipment next to him? Like, is he temporarily naked to wash himself, or is it like his standard way of being from what I can see?
I will tell you that you don't see any clothes or gear, but that's not because he doesn't have any. It just might not be visible. I will say that it looks like he's been there a while. Like the camp looks really like settled in. Like there's lots of you see like some like animal skins drying on a rack. You see you see a tent and all that stuff as well, but it just kind of seems like he's been there for a while. So,
and I don't see hides and such and bloody gore don't look like treasure. So this does not seem like someone who is focused on the accumulation of wealth.
I think without getting closer, you won't be able to tell.
Yeah. Okay. But Cassian, once more, he seems to be strangely obsessed with getting to the shrine, and says it's just one lad. We'll just steer clear of his fire. Just let's get to that shrine.
Mhm.
Very well. You head out on the road. You pass in this, kind of overgrown land, patches of corn growing tall but rotting because no one's gone to collect it. At one point on the road, you see a cow carcass picked clean by bugs and carrion birds. Everywhere there is the deep, rich smell of soil mingled with things, the smell of feathers and fur and blood. The campsite is first, but you can just go past it. It's not right on the road, and so you can just keep going. It's not, unless you go to the campsite, I don't think you have to worry about that guy, especially if you're aware of him and keeping an eye out. If you go past the campsite, though, about maybe another few hundred yards, you will get to the part of the road where the shrine is. The shrine's actually about 50 paces off the road, like nestled within a small copse of trees that are there. It is a small shrine. It's about the size of, it's small. Like, those like those sheds you can get at Home Depot to put in your backyard. It's like that size. It's like very, very little, right? But even from 50 paces away, you can see that it's carved with the symbols sacred to Saint Hester, the cornucopia, the sickle, wheat, gourds, that kind of thing. Cassian, this was something you were anxious to do. What do you do?
Cassian is gonna, Cassian's goal is, for reasons that may or may not become apparent, is to defile this shrine. And so he is going to approach the shrine, see anything of value, but then he wishes to remove any offerings, damage any statues of Saint Hester or such, unless they're valuable, in which case he'd take them. And then pulling out yellow paint from his backpack, he would like to paint the symbol of the Sister Slayers in the shrine.
Intriguing. Well, let's start with approaching the shrine.
Mhm.
What are Obeha and Bonnie doing? Are you right behind? Or are you doing?
I'm
Something
right
else.
behind, and
Okay.
I'm looking around, and I'm just going to spend a token to find a treasure.
Okay, good. Go ahead and erase your token. You will notice that oh. You will see it's been kind of stamped into the earth by a boot, perhaps, but you can unwedge it, and it is a holy symbol made from twigs and corn husks. In and of itself, it's probably not worth much, to be honest, but it could have some relevance to the adventurer or to the right buyer. It could be worth something, but especially if this is something like from back in the time of, Lord Galdrin and the village. But I will ask you this question. The holy symbol at a glance, because of the materials, appears to be like something that maybe a follower of St. Hester would have made. But there's something about it that indicates to you, Obeha, that it is not. It's either profane or it's a symbol of something else. What is it?
It's as I hold it up, just take a look at it. It like sort of spins in place. I notice like it's all over it. It's not just the twigs and twine. There is blood on it.
Is the blood fresh?
It's a mixture of like fresh and old blood, as
It's
though it was,
tacky.
yeah, it's tacky,
Mm.
kind of grimy, and like it's very clearly like this is not like, oh, someone was holding it and they bled on it. It's more or less this was used in a ritual that involves blood. So
You can note it in your found equipment however you wish, but don't put a value yet, though, because its value is not apparent right away.
Do the rest of us see them picking that up?
Oh, it's well, whatever you think, Obeha.
probably it's like I'm not trying to hide it. I think
So Bonnie sees it and becomes very interested and says, "Are you sure that's something safe to pick up? It doesn't look very safe."
it's these sorts of things by themselves, they're harmless. This is made of bits of twigs and twine, but to use it, that's where the danger lies. As long as I keep it out of sight, it should be fine.
Bonnie, do you have any relevant skills here that might tell you more about this thing?
I have skills in kind of herb lore and stuff like that. So if there's something, I mean, I have the appraisal skill and I have the
I'll give you appraisal. I will tell you, Bonnie, you can relay this to Obeha if you wish, but I will tell you that this symbol has no intrinsic value. Like there's nothing about it that like intrinsically anybody would want to pay money for. However, if you take the symbol to a particular heretical sect of St. Hester, it's worth a lot of money. Do you tell that to Obeha?
So Obeha, I'm not sure this is worth anything.
It should be destroyed.
I mean, the only people who would be interested in it are the sect of Mother Maga, and they perform ritual sacrifices of very disturbing things, and I'm not sure you want to get involved with them.
Mm. Money's money, and that's why we came out here for. Otherwise, what's the point?
Money at any cost? I mean, supporting people who perform ritual sacrifices?
We're gonna find plenty of money in Hester's mill, and maybe even this shrine right here.
If you could give me enough money to make it worth my while, I'll destroy it. But honestly, there's no harm in keeping it for now.
Oh, okay. Whatever you think is best.
Foreshadowing.
And you get the distinct impression that Bonnie is mainly just freaked out still from the last night in the dreams.
Yeah.
And she's just seeing shadows everywhere.
Not without reason, though.
Yeah.
So-
I mean, the floating ball of snakes yesterday kind of pointed her in the direction that maybe this place isn't just, your normal run-of-the-mill rundown village.
Indeed not. Let's check in with Cassian. So Cassian, you there's a little door that goes into the shrine. It pushes open easily. Inside the shrine, there are a half dozen little like prayer plinths, like little things that you would kneel out to pray, 3 on either side of this space. It's a tight space. And at the far end of the shrine, there is a statue of Saint Hester. The statue is positioned in the traditional manner, arms crossed, sickle in one hand, cornucopia in the other. And like many of the statues of the sisters, especially from this time period, they have just very like blank beatific faces. Like there's almost no expression. It's just placid. And the carving is not super detailed. It's more iconic than like something you would see like in the Renaissance era. That's not that. It's like it's more simple, simplistic carving, or at least more symbolic and representational rather than detailed. What do you do, Cassian?
Cassian gingerly enters the shrine looking around. He is anxious, but also angry looking at that statue. And coming to it, is it, how tall is that statue, Jason?
On the plinth that it stands on, it's probably about 7 feet tall, but off the plinth, it's like maybe 5 feet tall.
Okay. And is it made out of wood, straw?
It's made out of stone. The whole
It's made out of
shrine,
stone.
yeah, the whole shrine is stone and wood. Yeah.
Okay, so then first he's gonna look around for treasure of any kind.
Mhm.
And I guess I could use a token also for treasure.
You certainly can. Yeah. If you want to just spend one, I'll give you something.
It's okay. So he's gonna look around for anything of value and spend a token on that.
There's an offering bowl at the base of the statue, and it looks like it's just filled with like leaves and trash, right? Like because it's God knows how long it's been here. But a little bit of light coming in from the outside, from the open door, does catch a glimmer inside the bowl. And if you dig down through that, you will find several pieces of highly polished, faceted amber, not unlike my background right now. And the amber collectively is worth 1 gold.
So I should put this in. So if Cassian grabs it, should I put that in found equipment?
It's up to you. You can note it as amber if you think that might be important, or you can just put it as cash. It's up to you. It's the same at the end, either way. So.
Okay, so I'm gonna put it as amber for now. Okay, and then having done that,
May I interject there for just a second?
Mhm.
So right before you reach for the amber, I said, wait. this shrine is untouched, right?
Yes.
Well, Lord Galdrin, he mocked Saint Hester, correct?
Yes.
I mean, the statue was the statue was a profanity to Saint Hester. The fact that this shrine is untouched, so close to Torrens Bend, doesn't that mean it's protected or something? I don't know if I would touch anything here.
Or
We're here
No,
for the... Go.
I've had a terrible thought, and it seems that Bonnie's a little bit too anxious for me to share that thought right now, but I will say this, I think it'll be fine.
Cassian says, well, we're here for the loot, aren't we? And if this shrine isn't damaged, it's going to be damaged soon enough.
Okay, so Bonnie wants nothing to do with this and just backs out very quickly because she's afraid the whole thing is just gonna, be struck by holy fire or be consumed and swallowed into the earth as soon as anything is disturbed in it. So she backs out and kind of tries to slow her breathing a bit.
I'll pick up with Bonnie in a moment. I have an idea for Bonnie, but for now, Obeha, are you going in?
Yeah.
Are you still holding the symbol?
I'm still holding the symbol.
The symbol is getting warmer in your hand.
Like getting burning hot more?
No,
or
just it's noticeably warmer.
Yeah. Cassian. Bonnie has some sense of like why would an untouched shrine of Hester would be here. I don't think it's not been touched. I think that there is something hidden around. And I'm going to start looking around the shrine, like seeing like if there's any secrets or what have you, something hidden away. Maybe push the statue like plinth if I can.
Are you going to use any tools? Or
I
mean, I suppose the symbol could be
symbol.
Yeah, if you're like thinking it's like telling you something, I guess.
Yeah, especially with like you saying it got warm as I got in here.
Do 2 dice. Let's see how it goes. Okay, you got a 4, so take a token. It is incredibly hot as you get closer to the statue.
Okay.
And in particular, as you poke around the base of the statue. Cassian, what are you doing in the meantime? I assume you take the amber. Oh, you're muted, Benoit.
Cassian takes the amber and he's mulling over what Bonnie said, because that was a really astute observation, but he has a long history of opposing the sisters, and he is intent on not leaving this shrine untouched. And so he's going to look into attaching his rope to the head of the statue to bring it down.
Very good.
So he makes maybe a lasso and tries to put at the top, fall of communism style.
You can do that for free. You will pull the statue down. It lands and it's brittle enough that it kind of cracks as it hits the ground. And beneath it, there is a shaft going down into the earth.
Oh.
Let me cut over to Bonnie. So Bonnie, you've backed out of the shrine. And across the road, approaching you, is a man. He says, "Hello. Hello there."
She waves back at him.
He approaches. Yeah, he approaches. He is he's kind of like a middle-aged man, silvery hair. He's tall and kind kind of wiry. His clothes suggest like a woodsman of some sort. The quality of the cloth, but also like sort of makeshift nature of like, you know, his leather accoutrement, things like that. And he kind of approaches you and he says, I thought I saw you and your friends coming up the road.
Are you the one by the fire?
Yes, that's my campsite back that way.
Yeah, we saw you as well.
Oh, yes. Well, I didn't think there was anyone in this land. I was led to believe that it was quite empty. I'm new here as well. I've just arrived.
What's your name?
And he smiles and he extends his hand and says, sorry, I don't really like to straight away share my name with people I don't know. It's a bit of a trust thing for me. But, and then he kind of like looks down a little bit and says, let us call each other friend for now.
Bonnie is very unsure. She is holding the lead of Mavis in her left hand and is about to reach out to this man to shake his hand as well when she looks down to Mavis and see what Mavis's reaction to this man.
Oh, interesting. Make a hunt roll of 2 dice with Mavis as the second die. And that looks like a 6. Take your token. Mavis is nervous in the way you've seen Mavis nervous before, like when there is a predator in the area. Like you're there providing safety and comfort, but she's clearly aware that there's been a wolf or something, or a fox or something in the area, right? His hand is still extended.
She's about to shake his hand, and then she pulls back a little bit and she says, pardon, this may be a strange question, but you're not a floating ball of snakes, are you?
And he looks at you, and then a smile slowly spreads across his face, and he says, no, not last I checked.
Oh, of course not. How silly of me. I'm sorry. This place has given me the willies, and she shakes his hand.
He says, yes, it is very, well, emptiness will do that to you. But now we have found each other, so I suppose it's not so empty after all, eh?
One can hope.
At this point, Cassian and Obeha, that's probably when the statue comes down, and you're looking at the shaft going into the earth, and you will be aware of Bonnie talking to somebody outside the shrine. Cassian, what are you doing?
I make sure the door is closed, is the first thing I do.
Yeah, you can do that.
And I spy, I think before doing anything, I'm just gonna, or maybe I just leave it a crack, and I'm gonna spy the man and tell Obeha, he's talking to some guy now. I think it is the guy who was naked by the fire before. Best figure out what he wants before we go any further, don't you think?
Yes.
And Cassian's gonna pull out his curved dagger, and staying in the shadows, he's gonna keep an eye out for whether that newcomer is any threat to Bonnie.
we'll keep the scene going for a bit. He says, so why have you and your companions come to this place? Seeking treasure, no doubt?
She nods. She says, we have to feed ourselves after all.
He says, yes, well, you're welcome to it. I'm not here seeking treasure. I'm here on a hunt.
What are you hunting?
And here a shadow passes across his face and he says, I think it would be safer if you didn't know, truth be told. But just know that if you go into the village, watch yourself, be careful.
Because of what you were hunting?
Yes, I think you're probably safe in the day, but once the sun falls, the danger is magnified greatly. He has a very eloquent manner of speech, despite being a woodsman.
This doesn't bother Bonnie. I mean, she's met plenty of people who have fallen on rough times. She herself, of course, has fallen on very rough times. So she probably it probably doesn't even come to mind for her because she's used to dealing with people who have education and stuff like that. So of course this woodman would speak as if he were highly educated because everybody speaks that way. So she says, well, thank you for the advice, stranger. My name is Bonnie, by the way.
He says,
Bonifacio.
as I said, we shall just know each other as friend. And he goes to shake your hand. And he says, I think that if you find yourself here at sundown, you can probably take shelter in that farmhouse just north of the village. It seems to be in pretty good shape, considering the state of the rest of this place. Or you're welcome to sit by my fire. You're welcome there, and I do a bit of hunting. I'm happy to provide you with some of my catch.
Well, that's very generous. Is there anything we can do to help you on your hunt?
Just stay out of my way, friend.
I'm not sure I can stay out of your way if I don't know what you're hunting.
He says, fear not. You're doing a good job already. I have no interest in this shrine, for example. And he turns and heads back up the road.
Bonnie looks down at Mavis and then looks at the man and shrugs and looks into the shrine.
Well, the door was shut, so are you going to,
okay.
Cassian, are you letting Bonnie in?
Cassian read it.
Yeah, of course. Opens the door and says, who was that guy, Bunny?
A hunter.
Well, good he went on his way. We've Obeha and I found a way down in this place. It looks like statues in these parts are filled with surprises.
Okay. And Bonnie will make her way into the shrine.
You will see the shaft. The shaft, there's not enough light in the shrine to see down into it, so somebody will have to light a torch or a lantern in order to get a better look. And you should have torches in your drop down if you don't have them already.
Yeah, Cassian's gonna light a lantern. I'll do that right now. I will. And I'm assuming, do we have a fire making equipment of sorts?
Yeah, you always have flint and tinder and rations. So
okay, and lantern is. I see torches, which is maybe fine.
Torch will do. Yeah, you can just drop a torch down there too.
Jesus. Okay, so still 2 left. Okay. So I light a torch.
You can see that the shaft is probably about. The shaft itself is not very long, but the drop down to the bottom of where it goes is about 15 feet. There's no way of getting down, but 15 feet is not so far that you can't like lower yourself down and drop, I suppose.
Also, I have a grappling hook and a rope.
Yeah, that might be good for getting back up. So, yeah.
So I'm gonna attach the grappling hook to the rope and set it and attach it to the side of the plinth so that hopefully if we all go down, we can loosen it up by, doing the old. Look, I'm tacitly looking at Obeha and Bonnie to make sure we're on the same page as I get myself, as Cassian makes his way prepares to hoist himself down. And says to Bonnie, no big guardian so far. I bet the good stuff is down there.
Maybe.
So Cassian, sounds like you're going down.
Well, I kind of, before I do, I did want to, can I have jar of yellow paint in my equipment?
Sure. Yeah, you can put a slot, or you can type that into one of your slots.
So I wanted to, before I go, I wanted to quickly get a jar of yellow paint from my backpack and with my fingers on the base of the statue, do a symbol that it's how in Christianity you can have the crucifix and you can turn it around for the Antichrist or something. And so this is a perversion of the symbol. The cornucopia looks like a beak, and the flowing hair of Saint Hester looks vaguely like tentacles. I mean, it's a symbolized thing. It's just it's pretty quickly done with fingers. He's no artist, but he's done this before. And then he wipes his fingers covered with yellow paint.
How are Bonnie and Obeha reacting to this? I'm curious.
Yeah, and he looks at them with a challenging look while he puts away his paint.
I will say this as a player perspective. Bonnie did see like a beaked creature with tentacles in her dream.
Oh yeah, that might speak to Bonnie in some way when you see Cassian doing this. It's a good point. I don't know. It's up to you, Bonnie, if you want to react to it.
I mean, you probably have heard of cults defacing the sisters' temples. You may or may not have seen the symbols that they do, but you know of such cults who claim that the sisters are not what they are and seem to be on a mission to deface their places of worship.
Bonnie definitely reacts to this and backs up with a look of fear and confusion on her face and says, Cassian, why are you doing this?
The sisters, all of them, are evil creatures. Their cult lowers humanity by its very existence.
Look, we've all agreed to work together on this, and this is very disturbing. I'm not sure what. Are you going to sacrifice us all to some unknown god with tentacles and beaks?
No, that's what they do. You just reminded us of Mother Maga and their unholy sacrifices. They're not a heretical cult. They're the epitome of what sister worship is all about. I'm not sure that Lord Goldrun was as bad as people said he was. In my book, he might have been trying to make the world right.
How does this fit in with the general accepted view of the sisters and Goldrun and all that?
Well, it's a good question. there are lots, I would say that there are lots of opinions about the sisters. The sisters, of course, their general sort of, historically, what they are thought to have done is they gave order to what was hundreds, possibly thousands of small local faith practices, right? So every village would have its weird thing that it worshipped, or its, like strange little god. And the sisters, in order to bring order to the kingdom, they began to sort of preach a unifying theology, right? That everyone's practice is worthy so long as you abide by certain things that the kingdom wants you to do, right? The sisters themselves individually, they are historical, quasi-historical, quasi-mythical figures who are known for they have like one particular area of influence. In Hester's case, it's the harvest. And that is the common thinking, right? However, the less common view, though it is nonetheless a view that is out there, is that the sisters are actually malevolent demonic creatures, and this is like these creatures like PR, like they're front-facing face that makes them more palatable, because there are lots of stories about who the sisters really were. And like all kinds of stories and myths, the truth of some of these stories is probably darker and more grim than what is commonly accepted. And so it's a mixed bag. However, there's clearly something going on here, right?
Mm-hmm.
Saint Hester, just the act of blighting the land, according to the history, this is a pretty drastic action on behalf of a saint, right? And quite punitive.
Cassian, I think this may be a little bit extreme, especially since we're in a land of, well, Saint Hester. I don't think she would appreciate that, even if she were benevolent.
Well, she's not, and I'm not trying to have her appreciate it or worship her in any way.
Still, you don't want to spit at our face, like, and get us noticed.
Cassian takes that in, and then his eyes go from meeting Obeha's gaze to like the damaged statue on the ground, and then to the symbol painted on the base of the statue, and then goes back to her, as in it's pretty much done, and then says, "Don't you think we should go down that shaft now?"
Yes. At least we can agree on that.
Who's first down the shaft?
I'm happy. Cassian's happy to do that. He set up unless someone else wants to, he's happy to go down first.
Bonnie is definitely not going first.
Very good. We'll say Cassian goes down first. So you drop down into this like open sort of basement area beneath the shrine. In terms of area, it's actually like 3 or 4 times the size of the shrine up above. So that's one thing worth noting. The walls of this basement area, this subterranean area, have been painted with scenes depicting a history. There's clearly a story wrapping around the walls. We can talk about that later. On one end of the room, there is a small shrine area with a small statue of a crow wearing a crown and wearing a crown and holding a scepter. And the statue appears to be made of gold, or is at least leafed in gold. And the statue is also fairly small, like the size of like a small child, right? And there are half-burnt candles all around this little crow statue, and profane symbols scrawled on the floor in charcoal. Let's take a 5-minute break and we'll come back and do this.
Cassian should fit right in.
So yeah, the subterranean area, the little gold crow statue, it's small enough to be carried, and if it is gold, it would be worth an incredible amount of money. And then we have this like these scenes painted that wrap all around the space on the walls. And it does look like there was some perhaps relatively recent activity of worship around this little gold crow statue. Cassian, you're first down. What do you do?
Well, Cassian has the other two throw down the torch on the ground, and then he picks it up, and he's looking at all the frescoes and the statue, and he's very excited. And he looks up and says, "There's a gold statue down here. I think we found what we came here for. Does any one of you want to come down and help me hoist it?"
Yes, I'll come down. I'll climb down the rope and all.
Bonnie's a little bit nervous about leaving her goat tied up, but she'll kind of quickly run outside and find an area that's covered with brush where she can kind of hide, her for the time being, and ties her up on a small tree or something like that, and then gets there a little bit later, but eventually does get there and does climb down if it still looks safe.
Yeah, well, let's pick up with Cassian and Obeha first then. So Cassian, what do you do? You're both down there.
Cassian, paradoxically, is more at ease in this context than seeing the foul sister looking down at him. And so he lifts the torch over his head, then slowly watching where he puts his feet, maybe not to step necessarily in the sharp gold symbols on the floor if they are there. Taking a cursory look at the frescoes, but his attention is on the crow. And so he's going to approach it and start looking at the base of it to see if it's attached to the pedestal.
It could be lifted easily.
Do I recognize this sort of crow thing?
If you have a relevant skill, possibly. Rituals, symbols, maybe.
Symbols.
Yeah, I'll tell you this because you have symbols. The crown and scepter is typically used to convey like that whatever this is representing is a god.
Mm-hmm.
To represent that the crow is a god.
Yes.
Yeah, or whoever made the statue venerates this crow as a god.
Yeah, it doesn't seem as though the people around here worshipped Hester. Rather, they worship something else. And then my head attention looks at the frescoes. Maybe they have some more information.
It'll take some time to interpret the frescoes, but if you're willing to take the time to do it, I will tell you what you learn. Bonnie, you can join the group now at this point, and you'll see all of this stuff. What do you do?
Bonnie sees the crow thing and of course flashes right back to this dream, and is very confused and doesn't quite know how to process everything, and if this thing was opposing Galdrin, if Galdrin was really a tyrant or if he really was good. She's just very confused by everything now. But she doesn't hurt what anybody else is doing, but she doesn't kind of help either unless they actively try to get her to be involved. She's just still being very on guard and keeping an eye out to make sure that nobody creeps up on them. Also checking to see if there are any exits from this chamber.
Make a hunt roll. probably it's one dice unless you have a relevant skill or piece of equipment. What skills might you have that would have helped with that?
Nice. Wow. 6.
Oh, very good. Take your token. There are no other exits. The ceiling in this area is actually pretty high up, about 12 feet. It's a little higher than a normal room ceiling. And I will tell you that it is much blacker and darker than it should be. It's almost as if it's absorbing the torchlight, or the torchlight's not piercing all the way to the top. Meanwhile, Cassian and Obeha, are you like trying to figure out the story here of these murals? Obeha, give me a hunt roll.
Since I have symbols, would that be just 2 dice?
Symbols will work great because a lot of this is going to be like metaphor and, you know, symbolic representations of things. Take your token. It's going to take you a while to interpret it. So in the meantime, Cassian, what are you doing?
Cassian is all business. He's bringing the torch to the base of the gold statue, and he's looking at every possible trick in the book that he knows to make sure there's no trap or any poison or anything like that. It's really annoying to Obeha, I think, because as he moves around, it means that it casts a huge shadow of the crow on the walls that's moving as Cassian is moving around, and she's like, she's probably like, but that's what he's doing. He's really just focused on like, is there anything dangerous on the statue? He's not looking up at all because he's really focused on that statue.
Make a 2-die roll because you have security, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, make it with 2 dice. Take your token. I will tell you that there don't appear to be any physical traps. There's no mechanisms or anything like that that you can see. I will also tell you that the statue is incredibly valuable. It is in fact gold, and it is probably worth minimum 3 or 4 gold back at town, which in the fiction is like many hundreds of silver pieces, maybe even thousands, right? Quite valuable. The terrible thing is the statue is plainly cursed. How do you know that?
I know that because the base of it is covered with hieroglyphs, and I notice next to the hieroglyphs, there is something on it, like it looks like a leaf or something, a dried leaf, and Cassian leans forward and pulls it off and realizes it's actually the burnt skin of a finger that has been burnt on the base.
Okay. Bonnie, as I've noted, the ceiling seems particularly dark in this chamber. The other 2 don't seem to have noticed this yet. What are you doing?
I'm going to give her her own torches. So she will walk over to Cassian and light a torch off of his torch.
Done. And then what?
And then kind of hold the torch up as high as she possibly can, to see if she can get a better look at the ceiling, whether it's absorbing the light, or if there's something up there that she can't see. Is she still unsure about it?
Make a hunt roll with 2 dice. You got a 3, which is no token, and you encounter something terrible. As you hold the torch, extending to the fullness of your reach, which almost reaches the top, right? Pretty close. The darkness shifts and moves. A large crow dips its head down from the ceiling and hisses. Its feathers flaring.
Bonnie just starts screaming immediately as soon as she sees it.
Dropping down from the ceiling is, I don't know what their collective noun is, but there is a group of crow-like creatures. They are like the head and wings of a crow, and their lower half is black tentacles. They're about 5 feet tall, and they drop down all around in this space. I need to get some numbers and stats here real quick.
A sacrifice of crow tentacles?
Yeah, that's pretty good. Yeah.
Assassination of crow.
There are 5 of them in total, and they're all around, and they're all a problem for everybody. Grab your weapons, because this is a combat. Their endurance is 10 collectively. Please say how you're vulnerable and roll a weak point, please.
I'll go first. Bonnie is clearly terrified of these things. So her vulnerability is her pre-terror to this. So this has the chance of kind of pushing her over the edge.
Absolutely. Roll weak.
I was caught unawares because I was looking at a wall.
Indeed, indeed. Let's get a weak point.
I think Cassian's vulnerability is that he is unwilling to run away. He's tethered to the notion of taking that statue, and that's making him take risks.
Okay, so it looks like Obeha has a weak point of 4. Poor Cassian has a weak point of 6. And what is Bonnie's? 6 as well. 6 is a bad number.
This is very appropriate.
Let's have a combat roll. Bonnie, you can take the you can have the pleasure of rolling first. It is going to be a combat 3.
So this is semicolon combat 3.
Yep. Hey, well, you defeated them. Everyone's getting hit once, which is not great, but you do defeat them. Because it was 6, 5, and 4, and the 4 hits Obeha, the 6 hits both Cassian and Bonnie, but you will be able to destroy these creatures. So there are 5 of them. Feel free to kill 1 or 2 in your narration. Kick it off, Cassian.
Cassian's energy seems redoubled by the notion of the gold to be taken. And as the thing drops upon him, he whips out, actually, I think he probably strikes at the mouth of one of them with a lit torch that he's holding. And it goes straight inside the beak that's coming to get him and seems to take the creature out of commission. It doesn't stop, unfortunately, a second one from slashing at its neck from the back, and the brigandine being destroyed. It does little to protect him. And there's a nasty, dirty gash in the back of his neck.
Yeah, that's great. Take a condition neck gash as well.
And also a ruin, is that how it works?
A ruin goes up by 1, yeah. All right, keep it going. Obeha.
As they quickly turn around and like as these very large creatures like start to like almost stand up to their full height, Obeya takes out their staff and just starts whacking them and trying to keep them down, and like their tentacles wrap around the staff and up Obeya's arm, and it just burns as though it was they are slightly acidic.
But you do cave in the skulls of a couple, I guess.
Yes.
Good. And Bonnie, there are 2 more to kill. Describe it, and you'll take 1 hit as well.
Sure. Could I describe the hit she takes as like a permanent for the rest of this adventure hesitancy or second guessing herself on everything, or just
As a condition? Yeah, I think that's pretty good.
Yeah.
I mean, you still take your ruin goes up though. That's unavoidable.
yeah, no, that's fine.
Yeah, absolutely, of course.
Okay, so you said that would be a condition.
Yeah, take hesitant as a condition.
Take what? I'm sorry.
Hesitant?
Hesitant. Okay. Okay, so she is wildly slashing around her with her sword, and she cuts a couple of them with her sword, and is battering around with her lit torch as well. And as she slices one of them open, she notices a few little tadpole-like things drop out of it that look strangely familiar to her. And she kind of burns those quickly with her torch. But she basically does not stop screaming the entire time this is happening. And she just will continue hacking at everything until nothing is moving anymore.
Yeah, and I think the scene ends with just piles of black feathers and goo and tentacles and smashed creatures all over. Cassian, go ahead and roll a gold 10, please. You will be able to 1 gold worth of retrievable body parts from these creatures. Whoever wants to define that can keep it, or you can all decide however you wish to divide it up or to give it away. But in any case, yeah.
I'd love to take a shot at it.
Yeah, sure.
So these creatures absorb light. That's why I couldn't see them on the ceiling, but light acts, they absorb it, but it irritates them too, because it's so antithetical to their nature. And so what they do is they create these protective shells around the light that are like little, like pearls almost, but they're completely black and they're the size of peas, and they can be found amidst the entrails of these creatures.
No, I love that. That's really good. You can add some of those to your found equipment. They're all worth 1 gold and 3 uses if you find a use for them. So
that's 1 gold for each of us, or just 1 gold?
Just 1 gold total for whoever's keeping them. Yeah.
Okay. She will not keep them.
Okay. Yeah. I was wondering if Bonnie's gonna actually keep them.
Could I keep them?
You also get to name these things and add them to the bestiary if someone has a thought for what to call them.
Night pearls.
Oh no, I mean the creatures themselves.
Oh,
and you're talking away from your mic a little bit, Benoit.
winged terrors. No, I like the night thing, the reflection thing.
Well, just whenever somebody has an idea, doesn't have to happen
Yeah.
right away.
Shadow crows or something.
Sisters of Darkness.
Ooh, that's pretty good.
Yeah, I like Sisters of Darkness.
Right.
Sounds like an 80s goth metal band.
It does indeed. Or like Nest of Darkness is kind of good. as well. Well, the space is safe now, at least. There are definitely no more monsters down here. So if you spend a little more time with the frescoes, I will tell you what you learn. What about this statue, Cassian? You gonna do something with that?
Yeah, Cassian understands that it's cursed, but it's just too much gold to leave there. And so he's going to open his backpack and slowly pick it up and try to lower it into his backpack.
You can. It'll have to be a big sack, and you'll have to kind of like, you'll have to like strap it to your body to like carry it around, but you can carry it by doing that.
Yeah.
By taking possession of the statue, your ruin goes up by 1, and you get the condition Servant of Malfast.
Sounds good. Sounds good.
Type that for you. I put that in the chat, Servant of Malfast. But the statue's worth at least 4 gold, so. And is also plainly magical in nature. But how does it make you feel? You don't know what Malfast is, but you feel suddenly attuned to whatever the statue represents. So how does that manifest in you?
At one level, it feels like I'm finally home. Like I've been looking for this my whole life. This weird feeling when, you know, some things in life you're like, oh, this is what. At the same time, there's a feeling that I've lost something forever, and I can't put my finger on what that is.
Very interesting.
And I should put in my found equipment.
Yep, found equipment. And it's you can call it Statue of Malfast. You can note that it's worth 4 gold. Which is an incredible sum of money in this game, by the way. So.
And just in terms of game mechanics, when you've met your burdens with your gold, you don't leave the incursion. You still have
no, because you'll need more, because you have to spend gold to lower your ruin. You have to spend gold to open up your backpack slots and other things. So, but if you don't meet your burdens before you leave the incursion, your character retires permanently. You don't get to play them anymore. So because they are ill-fated and destined to die in poverty. So yeah, meet your burdens. So let's talk about the story. Obeha. This is all depicted in the story, the pictures essentially that are wrapped around the space. The rough contours of the known history that you already know, that they're true, but there are some important details that have been left out, and that's what these frescoes fill in. For a start, Lord Galdrin was more than a mere heretic. According to the pictograms, he was in fact a brutal tyrant who had no love for the people of his newly conquered lands, and he inflicted a regime of violence and forced labor on them. The people of Hester's Mill, dedicated as they were to their saint, were given special attention by this cruel heretical lord. So Lord Galdrin was not a good guy. Another detail that the known history seems to have missed is that the people of Hester's Mill were unable to fight back against Lord Galdrin by normal means. And they were so desperate to be free of him, they sought the help of what appears to be some sort of sorceress. The sorceress used her talents to contact this crow wearing a crown, this godlike crow. The crow then instructed the people of Hester's Mill of how to create an army of crows. It seemed, according to the pictures, that what this crowned crow required was ritual sacrifice beneath the millstone of Hester's mill. We see Lord Galdrin's soldiers being smashed under the millstone in a sacrificial manner. And then we see the people of Hester's mill eating the slurry of bone and blood that came from the mill. And then we see them, man and woman alike, becoming pregnant with child. And they gave birth to crows. And then this army of crows is marched upon Lord Galdrin and destroyed him, destroyed his keep. All of Lord Galdrin's soldiers were sacrificed under the mill, but according to the frescoes, it appears Lord Galdrin himself escaped. We see him running away. And then the stories get, the pictures get a little less detailed, a little less finely wrought. But it seems like the crow god wanted more. And so the people of Hester's mill started to sacrifice themselves, each other, beneath the mill. And then we see the sorceress running as well. Lord Galdrin ran to the south. The sorceress ran to the north. And we know what happened to the people of Hester's mill. They were all sacrificed or died out. But this is the secret history, and you have satisfied the set goal. I assume you convey this to everyone.
Yes. Oh, and I would like to spend 2 of my hunt tokens to find treasure.
Very good. Embedded in the walls, where the crow's crown is depicted, are rubies. Collectively, these rubies are all worth 2 gold. You can just note it as money if you wish.
So Saint Hester, as Cassian looks over Obeha's shoulder to look at the fresco, Saint Hester is actually not involved at all.
She doesn't figure in the story at all. Yeah.
Yes.
That's a big deal for Cassian.
Yes, it seems that whoever has been saying that Saint Hester is in charge of all these things seems to be having a little bit of an agenda there.
Obeha, you're right. That's interesting to point out that they went north and south. That farmhouse that we saw is north of Hester's Mill.
North of Hester's mill.
And north is where the witch or the count went.
The sorceress went to the north.
The sorceress.
The sorceress that originally made contact with the Crow King.
And the gallows are south of the gallows. There's nothing south of Hester's.
The gallows was south of the village. But not on the road, like southeast, I guess.
Well, thank God you gave him down, Bonnie. I don't know that Obeha and I could have dispatched those dark creatures without your help.
So when you turn to Bonnie to say this to her, you find that she is huddled in a corner with her hands over her head, and she's crouching, and she seems to be rocking back and forth and crying.
Cassian exchanges a glance with Obeha, worried.
Mhm.
Then takes a step towards Bonnie and crouches next to her. And in an awkward move, reaches to put his hand on her shoulder, saying, Let's get out of here. Get back to the sunlight. Get back to Mavis.
That sounds like a good idea.
She needs you to be strong.
She stands up and straightens her clothes and sheaths her sword after wiping it off, wiping all the blood and ichor off of it.
And Cassian gently, by the elbow, guides Bonnie towards the rope going up.
When you get back up to the surface, Bonnie, you actually see your new friend standing outside the shrine near where you saw him before, and he's holding Mavis under his arm.
Hello, friend.
He says, "Oh, hi. Your little friend here got loose, and I found her." And he sets Mavis down.
Okay. I rush over to Mavis and make sure she's okay.
She's incredibly spooked, but otherwise fine.
Is there any physical resemblance? Sorry, Alex, I thought you were done.
Fine.
Is there any physical resemblance between the fresco depiction of Lord Goldrun and the person standing in front of us?
It's hard to say because the fresco depictions are very simple, like medieval kinds of drawings, right? There's not any apparent things unless you're looking pretty closely. Maybe you see something. I mean, I think regardless, you have to look pretty closely to see if there's some kind of symbol or something.
But there's no obvious incompatibility, like the picture was missing a leg and he's not.
Oh no, nothing like that. No.
No, it's still
also, this was 100 years ago, so
Mhm. Yeah.
Somebody should have taken a few more life drawing classes.
Yes. Okay.
but from your distance, it doesn't at a glance, it doesn't really seem like there's any connection.
Is this the person that you were talking to earlier, Bonnie?
Yes.
He says, "Hello, that's my camp back that way on the road."
He found Mavis, and he hasn't given us his name yet, but he says he's a hunter. But he hasn't said what he's hunting.
A hunter and a friend.
Hunter friend, yes.
I've just arrived here, like you. As I told my friend here, you are all welcome to stay at my camp. The day is getting late.
It is. And you are hunting something, so you...
Yes, a terrible beast.
Did you kill that wild pig up the road?
Oh, I think you're talking about the cow carcass up the road. No, I don't know. It looks like it had been there for quite a while. The rot and the maggots seem to indicate as such.
Yes.
well,
You aren't hunting a thing with raven feathers and tentacles by any chance, are you?
And he kind of smiles and says, "Well, the fact of the matter is, I don't know exactly what I'm hunting. I was drawn here as if in a dream. I don't even remember setting up my camp, truth be told."
the symbol that I have for Hester, does it seem to react to this guy at all?
No.
Hmm.
He says, "Well, just wanted to deliver your goat."
Have you been to the village, friend, or to that house next to it? Have you encountered anyone or anything there?
No. I haven't had a chance to get up there yet. I approached from the south. I can tell, though, that the house seems to be in pretty good condition. Either someone's living there, or it's just got lucky and isn't a rubble like everything else around here. It probably would be a terrific place to spend the night, though. I prefer the outdoors myself.
What's out in the night?
He says, well, apparently things with tentacles and crow feathers, but no. This land is blighted, of course, and blight brings monsters.
And there's also this huge beast lurking around about. We saw it the other night. Could it be the creature that you were hunting?
It could well be. Anyway.
The floating snakes?
No, the thing that Cassian saw trudging through the woods.
Oh.
He says, yes, it could well be. I suspect that the thing I hunt does stalk at night. I'm going to go get ready. We have a couple of hours of daylight left. I'm going to go have some dinner and then get ready for my hunt. You all are welcome to my fire, of course, but there's probably enough time to go up ahead to that farmhouse if you would maybe shelter with whoever lives there.
You hunt at night, friend?
I suspect that the beast I'm hunting is nocturnal in nature, and I have not yet found where it sleeps in the day, so catching it out in the open seems like the best thing.
And you have reason to believe your camp fire would keep it at bay, or there's no reason to believe it's any safer than being lurking in the woods?
I suspect it has the mind of a bear or similar creature, ferocious when pressed, but skittish, hesitant around people in general.
Well, Bonnie, you're the one who's the most shaken. What would make you feel safer, the camp or the house?
Let's go look at the house first.
Friend, we appreciate the offer. We're gonna go find out about that house, and
I shall keep my fire lit regardless. Feel free to stop by.
Most civil of you. We may be back and inform you on what we find, or we may sleep there for the night.
Splendid. And he says, and friend, perhaps I will tell you how to tie a better knot next time I see you.
Okay. A little passive aggressive.
And he walks down the road back to the camp.
Cassian, you kept on eyeing that fellow a little bit remarkably. What's got you spooked?
I'm just, well, I saw him this morning cleaning up blood and gore over his naked body, yet he claims to not have killed that cow, nor to have encountered his foe yet. He did kill something or someone.
Is this the first you're all hearing of him being covered
yeah,
in blood?
This is the first time we're hearing of this.
You couldn't have mentioned that before I had a 15-minute conversation with him?
Well, he's not an immediate threat to us now, and we know more about him than we did before.
Is he human?
I don't know. I don't know whether he might have been the same as that hulking humanoid I saw in the darkness before.
Like a werewolf.
Beast bitten.
Any of those. You know, as your guess is as good as mine. I don't see any hostility on his part, frankly. He could have attacked us had he wanted to, and he seems to be here on other business. Maybe an ally, for all that we know.
That's what he said to me. He said, as long as we don't get into his way, he wouldn't bother us. But then I asked him, how would we know if we were in his way, if we don't know what he's tracking? And he didn't seem to have an answer to that.
Yeah, I definitely think we should go to the farmhouse. Beasts bitten are a bit
Yes.
unpredictable in their animal forms.
If that's what he is, who knows? But you're right. And we're all battered and bruised. I think a night under a roof, maybe some tending to our wounds would be salutary. And with that, I think we head towards the farm. And I'm guessing, folks, we're not going through the village, right? Are we circumventing the village to try to get to the farm?
You can circumvent the village if you wish.
Yeah, circumventing the village. I don't know what's in there, and I cannot get into another fight. I will die.
Circumventing the village sounds like a good idea. As you are making your way through the overgrown, unpaved land, heading in the direction of the farmhouse, it's not far. There are signs of life everywhere. The insects are thick. Corn and gourds are rotting in place because for lack of anyone to collect them. You come upon a dog tearing the afterbirth sac from her newborn puppies and feasting on the nutrient-rich blood. And then you arrive at the farmhouse. It's about a half-mile north of the village. It is a lone farmhouse. Unlike everything you've seen in this region so far, with the exception of maybe the shrine, unlike everything else though, it's perfectly intact. It even looks to have a fairly fresh coat of paint. And it's bordered by rows of neatly tended cornfields. And in one of the cornfields, west of the house, you even see a scarecrow standing tall in the corn. On the side of the house, as you approach it there is a road that eventually abuts the house, but it's a road that connects up to the village. So you're kind of approaching it from an angle, but you eventually get on the road that abuts the house, abuts the cornfield next to the house. And on the side of the house, you can see there has been a mural painted depicting a very sunny pastoral scene. And there's a little path cut to the cornfield that goes right up to the house. Do you all go?
Mhm.
You get up to the farmhouse and you can hear coming from beneath the house the mewling of newborn kittens, clearly being hidden by their mother. The porch of the house has a rocking chair, rocking back and forth in the warm breeze. And there are some reed wind chimes hanging on the porch as well that are tinkling. And then there's a front door. And down at the base of the door, there's a jack-o'-lantern that is well preserved because it's been covered in wax. Obeha, what do you do? It has all the signs of someone living here.
I'm going to knock at the door, like. Toot, 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 toot.
You wait for a bit and there's no reply. Cassian, what are you doing?
Cassian steps on the porch alongside Obeha. Takes a quick glance at Bonnie to make sure she's okay, and then walks towards one of the windows if there's any, and kind of looks inside, trying to cover his eyes to let his eyes get accustomed to the gloom inside and see if there's anything in there.
Make a hunt roll.
So what can I use?
You can make security. I think security.
Surprise. Yeah. Okay. 2 3s.
We'll encounter something terrible. We'll come back to that. Bonnie, what are you doing?
I'm wondering maybe if she's, I mean, if the person living here might be busy in the back. People who live in the country spend a lot of time outdoors, so she'll just mention to the others, I'm just gonna go around. Maybe the person who lives here is behind the house.
You go around to the back, and there is not a back entrance or porch, but there is a small garden, reasonably well tended, apparently growing several vegetables, maybe legumes, that kind of thing.
Can I tell with my herbal background if there's anything unusual about the garden?
With your background in herbology, in herbs, I will tell you that there's nothing unusual about it. It's remarkably what you might expect to find in such a place. Cassian, you are peering through windows, and you actually have a pretty good view. There's a front room in the farmhouse that everything appears to be dusty, like no one lives there, but the furnishings seem like they're intact. There's no signs of damage or anything like that, or decay, but it does look dusty. And you can actually see directly across the window from on the other side, and you see that scarecrow standing in that field. And then you go to the next bank of windows, and this goes into like a back area, like a kitchen, kind of hearth kind of situation. And same thing, everything looks pretty unused, but in good shape. And you can also see the window directly across and out it, and you can see the scarecrow hanging in the field. And then you go all the way around to the back to essentially meet up with Bonnie. And you see Bonnie, you see the garden, you look across and you see the cornfield, and you don't see the scarecrow. Let's take a 5-minute break.
So the scarecrow is gone, but it's not through the windows, right? Before I saw it, the first 2 times it's through the window, and then when I went to the back, I'm literally looking at the field where it was before, and the scarecrow is gone.
Yes.
Got it. Thank you.
And what's the set goal for this particular place?
You have it as soon as you go inside the house.
Okay. I will just remind everybody that everybody else has like a ton of tokens. So
It's true. Yeah. If you if it looks like you might want to spend some at some point to get to accomplish a set goal automatically.
So you're saying if we spend 3 tokens right now, that's what you're saying, right?
Yeah, you can spend 3 tokens to accomplish a set goal automatically. So yeah.
We should probably find out what it is before that, because
fair
if it's
point.
something that we can easily accomplish, then
or you could spend them on treasure rather than risking a hunt roll and like losing them all.
Fair point. Obeha, no one's answering the door, and there's Cassian, there's nobody in the house, as best you can tell.
I'm gonna tell Bonnie right away though, that scarecrow. Didn't you see a scarecrow right there pointing at the cornfield?
did I see a scarecrow? I don't think I saw one.
I've only really like distinctly pointed it out to Cassian, but you could have seen you all could have seen it on the way up. Yeah.
It's gone.
What do you mean it's gone?
There's a scarecrow right there. It's gone.
She pulls out her sword. You saying there's a scarecrow walking around here?
I don't know if it's walking, flying, teleporting. It's just gone. There was a
I
scarecrow
mean,
right
could
there.
you could it be a bad angle? Could you just be looking at it from a different direction, but really it's there? It's just something's blocking it from view.
So he Cassian paces back and forth to see if there's a tree that's hiding it or anything, and he's like, "No, it was there. There was a scarecrow right there. It's gone. We better get inside this house. That seems safe, at least."
Yeah.
Obeha, the door is locked, but it looks like you could
Hmm.
probably bust it open pretty easily.
Yeah, that like the area around this place is obviously dangerous because of what we've been getting into tons of fights. So like me breaking the lock is not a good thing. So I'll wait for Cassian to come on back. And while they are having this conversation, unbeknownst to my knowledge, because I was not paying attention to the scarecrow, I'm going to take a look at this jack-o'-lantern on the porch.
Oh yeah. The jack-o'-lantern at a glance is it's been preserved in wax. It does look like it at one point had a candle in it, but the candle is long burned down. Anything you want to do beyond that?
I'll mark a backpack slot because, well, you never know about these things, and I'll pull out a candle, I'll light it, and I'll put it in the jack-o'-lantern.
Yeah, sounds good. And then you just leave it where it is?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's cute.
Indeed. And it is almost nighttime. So
Obeya has been worried that this entire adventure has not been festive enough.
Indeed. Are you all going inside the farmhouse?
Yes,
Yeah.
but I'm not breaking the lock.
I will knock. I will pick the lock so we can try to open or one of the windows or something, whatever weak point to the entry I will use to get us in without breaking anything.
Mhm.
And Bonnie will stand next to him with her sword drawn, looking nervously at the garden and everything else around them.
Indeed. Now, I will tell you that if you all spend the night in the farmhouse, you will be able to reduce your ruin by 1. So that is a thing to do. I will also tell you that as you go into the farmhouse, there are actually 4 rooms in total. There's the front room, which is where you're at. There is the kitchen. And then you'll also notice that there is a ladder going up to a upper level where there are probably bedrooms. Everything is quite dusty and unused, but comfortable. And yeah, if you spend the night here, you can recover a ruin. And what else should I tell you? Oh, the sequel. The sequel is learn the scarecrow ritual.
Well, I'm gonna go check out if everything's safe upstairs. Maybe we could boil a pot of water and cook up some of those corns. What do you say?
That sounds reasonable.
Is
I'm
there
happy
a
to escort
fountain?
anyone into
Sorry,
the
Alex.
cornfield. I said
Or-
I'm happy to escort anyone into the cornfield.
Okay.
Is there a well or fountain or any sort, Jason, for fresh water?
Yeah, round back.
Jason, I have a general kind of game question, which is how generally do you integrate the set goal as out of character knowledge into in character knowledge?
Well, so this one's pretty strictly out of character, right? Because you don't know anything about a scarecrow ritual, right? But you can spend the tokens and I'll make sure that your characters learn it in the way that makes the most sense. Or you can just stumble on it. So
Yeah, basically just by exploring and looking for treasure,
Yeah.
we'll stumble.
That's how you did the
upon it.
last one, right? You just happened to get to the right place and learn the secret history of the town. Yeah. Even if your characters weren't like looking for it. So.
But we don't have to motivate them.
Oh,
in
no,
any
no.
in
They can,
character way.
you can just stumble on it. Yeah, yeah. Sometimes the set goal is very in character. It's like, it'll be like, find the missing treasure or whatever, right? But yeah.
Yeah, so Cassian's gonna explore, just make sure the top floor is safe and kind of tell the other characters, you know, if there's beds or stuff upstairs.
So you're starting upstairs?
Yes.
There are, it's essentially like it's essentially two rooms, because the ladder, it kind of like leads to a little landing area with two like partially divided spaces with beds and things. There's no doors, but like there's like a partial wall, and each of those spaces has like two small beds.
Okay,
And
not 3 beds. That's what I was worried about.
yeah, not 3 beds. So that's kind of that at a glance, that's what you see, but you can search more carefully. You don't, at a glance, you don't see anybody up there.
And like the ground floor, it's dusty,
Unused and dusty. Yeah.
and you know, outside, clearly between the kittens and the puppies and the corn, there's like a cornucopia of life. Inside the house, is there such a number of spiders and bugs and stuff, or is it more devoid of life?
Make the hunt roll at this point, because you're asking questions about the world.
It's still true. It's
1 just because you're asking the question, and it's a 2 if you have a relevant skill or piece of equipment.
Thank you, Steph. So I'm trying to think. I don't know that I have anything. Security, surprise, deception. I don't know that any of that is relevant.
Not based off what you've asked, no.
Yeah.
Could I help?
There's no help on the hunt roll. No.
So
Unless-
hunt one,
well,
right?
you can give Cassian a piece of equipment that might be helpful, but otherwise, yeah.
So I think hunt 1, unless, right? Hunt 1?
Yeah, you're at the mercy of that one die, but yeah.
I have the forensic skill. Might that be useful in this situation?
Well, you can just make your own hunt roll, basically. So,
Mhm.
yeah. Which I'll
Okay.
let you do.
Could I out of game kind of to tell Cassian to maybe this is something that I better do?
Oh yeah, you can, but you're just gonna make your own hunt roll. That's all. So it's just like two different hunt rolls.
He's
Yeah.
already
Yeah,
signed up for the hunt roll. so to
yeah,
speak.
exactly. Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
You can be doing that, but you're just gonna get your own hunt roll as well. So
All right. So just by asking the question, I should roll hunt 1, right?
Mhm.
I am doing this in the. Here we go. Hunt 1. That's not good.
So 2, you encounter something terrible. At least you don't lose your tokens. So that's good. We'll come back to that. Bonnie, what are you doing right now?
Bonnie volunteered to escort anyone who's willing to go pick some corn.
And I guess I'm picking corn.
I mean, I'm not. I don't want to force you. I mean, I was just saying.
I don't want to leave Bonnie by herself in a cornfield, just because of like what we've done. And it seems like this house, for lack of better terms, is kind of safe. Really, it's the only real safe place we've been. So, but the field, that might not be safe. So,
Okay, well, she will. Let's do that.
As you cross the threshold outside of the house to go outside, how do you each feel just a little less safe? What do you experience that makes you feel that way?
I think with like how Abeja has been like through the ringer of just being battered around during the day, up from their throat, a little like they cough a little bit and a little blood comes up, but it's not just blood, it's also that tadpole again.
Bonnie, you have a creepy feeling, a slightly less safe feeling as you step out of the house. What does that feel like? How do you experience it?
Bonnie experienced it as tunnel vision. So all of her attention is being focused wherever she's looking, and everything else seems to be blending out in the way that sometimes your mind can focus you on danger, but it's just that she doesn't perceive any danger, obviously. So she's freaking out a little bit more because her mind is responding as if there is danger directly in front of her, and she doesn't see it. So she just, plus her peripheral vision seems to be gone. So she's just kind of darting her head around everywhere, trying to see.
How is Mavis right now?
Mavis is tied up. No, she's got Mavis. She's got her holding Mavis in one hand and her drawn sword in the other. Mavis is happily munching on some weeds that are growing just outside the door.
I love it. Cassian, you are looking around, you were specifically looking for like spiders and signs of life, which I think is interesting. You will pass by a window that's on this upper floor, and that window does face out to the cornfield that the scarecrow was in. The scarecrow is still not in the field, out in the field where you saw it. But then you look down and see that the scarecrow is right at the edge of the field, close to the house, hanging. What do you do?
I quickly come down and tell the other two about it. That scarecrow, it showed up again. It's right there. So it's probably on the other side
to where it was. Yeah.
It's a compared to the two of them, is the house between them and the scarecrow?
So like I imagine that the exit of the house is like a southerly exit, and the field where the scarecrow is like westerly. So it's on the other side of the house. Yeah.
Got it. So yeah, come out and say that scarecrow showed up again. It's over there, and I point to where
it
is. It's not, and it's gone again.
It's gone.
Well,
It could be some sort of illusion that you're seeing.
it could be. Also, I don't know that it's bad. Crows have been pretty bad in this area, so maybe
Yeah,
scarecrow keeps them at bay.
Bonnie is charging the field,
Bonnie.
and she
Oh,
lets
I'll tell
go.
you.
She lets go of the lead.
Obeha, around this time that Cassian came out, I will tell you that a wind caught the jack-o'-lantern and blew the candle out.
Oh, that's not nice. And I see Bonnie just rushing off the field, and I look back at the jack-o'-lantern. Does the jack-o'-lantern have any significance? Like, because like outside there's clearly signs of life, but inside there's none really, as far as I'm aware. So like someone has been taking care of this place, and like this is pretty much an item that's been used before.
As a symbol, since you have symbols, I will tell you that jack-o'-lanterns are, in the world of trophy, are not connected to any particular child's holiday. They are used for their literal purpose of keeping spirits out.
Okay, I am lighting up the jack-o'-lantern again.
Indeed.
Do I need to spend another candle?
No, you can just light it again. It's the one that's already in there.
And it is dusk now, or dark.
It is. The sun is getting lower. It's dusk, but yeah, it's still light out. It's still light enough out, but the sky is quite pink.
Bonnie, come back. Let's get back inside the house. It's not safe out there.
Bonnie is hacking and slashing at the corn.
Bonnie, as you rush into the cornfield, you hear a heartbeat. Bum 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 bum. The heartbeat actually, you can hear it above the sounds of you hacking at the corn. What do you do?
Am I self-aware enough to realize that this is not my own heartbeat?
Yes.
I stand stock still and just immediately just start looking around to try and figure out where the sound is coming from.
The heartbeat is coming from deeper in the cornfield. Bum 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 bum.
She will, holding the sword up in front of her, defensively, she will slowly walk forward towards the sound.
It gets louder and louder in your ears. It's in your ears, like, but you can tell it's not yours, but it's getting louder. Bum 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 bum.
But it's, I mean, it's, I can hear it. It's not like a psychic emanation of some
You
kind.
can hear it, yes.
Okay.
It's as if you had your ear pressed up to something, to a heartbeat. Meanwhile, Cassian and Obeha. Obeha, you have the jack-o'-lantern lit again. Cassian, what are you doing?
So Cassian is not hearing the heartbeat, but he's seeing Bonnie interrupting her slashing to walk deeper into the field. So he runs after her, unaware of the danger. He's just looking around for the scarecrow, but he's saying, Bonnie, come back in. Come back in. What are you doing? Where are you going?
It's not going to get me again. It's not going to get me again.
Right, because you're going to be inside the farm. We're locking the door. You and Mavis are going to be safe inside. Come back in.
Can't you hear that? Don't you hear it?
Hear what?
It's right there. It's right there.
Cassian, if you're still, you do hear it. Bum, 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 bum.
What is that?
It's a heartbeat. There's the huge creature here somewhere.
What about this does not tell you to get back indoors? The woodsman told us not to, that they were creatures out at night. Come on, let's get back in. This place is creepy.
So all of a sudden she realizes that her own sense of paranoia and wanting to just like get away from all of this terribleness has caused her to inadvertently like walk into some very bad situation.
You
So
turn a corner
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
in the cornfield into a clearing in the cornfield. And you see the scarecrow hanging on its pole. It is a scarecrow. It's made of a shirt stuffed with crow, or with stuffed with hay, a burlap head, button eyes, floppy hat, and the heartbeat is quite loud. Boom, 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 boom. What do you do?
Yeah. Maybe we slowly back away.
That sounds like a fantastic idea, Bonnie. Come on, Mavis, come back. Come on, let's go.
Mavis, I left back at the
Good. All right,
the house. Yeah, Bonnie will slowly back up, keeping her eyes fixed as long as she can on the scarecrow, and back up slowly.
You do. Meanwhile, Obeha, Mavis keeps trying to chew on the jack-o'-lantern.
Like I pick up Mavis. No, we don't chew on that. Mavis, come on now.
She does really like pumpkin.
Oh,
By the time the others get back, it is getting to be dark. And the scarecrow, you see it silhouetted against the rising moon. It is there in its field. As you leave the field, the heartbeat disappears. And the house is less inviting looking at night, but nevertheless inviting you in.
Is there a fireplace where we could light a fire?
There is indeed.
Mhm.
Okay, Bonnie will bring Mavis into the house. And see if there's kindling about, and if there's not, a look around briefly outside to see if there's anything that can be used for kindling and firewood.
You can find something easily. While you're out there, you hear from the road. Can't see it because of the corn, but you hear from the road. What do you do?
Can we look through the window to see if there's anything there?
Maybe if you go to the second story. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll do that.
You see one of the Sisters of Darkness. It appears to be testing the perimeter of the cornfield. It can't go in. It keeps like bobbing its head forward and then pulling back.
And the cornfield surrounds the house we're in.
Mhm.
Yes.
That's good. I share that with the other two. There's one of the nasty crow creatures trying to get in, but it seems to be kept at bay by the cornfield, perhaps by the scarecrow. The clearing was inside the cornfield, Jason?
Yes, that's on the other side of the house, but yeah.
But it was located within that ring
Within
of,
the cornfield.
of corn.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
So I mean, I share that because I mean, do you folks think that the scarecrow is keeping the crows at bay?
Possibly. As I remember, the witch did come north towards the farmhouse, yes?
Mm-hmm.
So possibly she made the scarecrow?
Well, we
Bonnie
should.
will quickly come inside and shut the door and blockade it as if necessary. No, well, but it is necessary. She will put heavy stuff in front of it, move heavy stuff in front of the door. You said there's only one door, right?
There's just one door. Mhm.
Yeah, so in front of that one door. And once she hears what Cassian is talking about, she says, oh no, Obeha was talking about it.
Mm-hmm.
You said that maybe the sorceress is aligned with the scarecrow, or that she created it?
Yes, because afterwards she fled the crows because, well, obviously everything got out of hand and everyone died. So
Maybe if this is her house, which it might be, maybe she left some kind of clues behind about the scarecrow.
Yes.
Have we seen anything in the house?
No, but we haven't had a chance to look very thoroughly yet. So that's a great idea, I think.
You've got all night. So
Well, except for the sleep we need to recoup the ruin.
indeed. You get your fire built. You can see. You actually can see a little bit out the front window because of the illumination from the jack-o'-lantern as well. And you can dust off the furniture and make yourselves comfortable. There is in this central room, the furniture is all set on this like a very large, dusty, but quite lovely rug. An unusual sort of thing to have in a farmhouse, just because it's the kind of thing you might find like in a in a noble's home, right? Not necessarily a farmhouse. And the cookery in the back is a little rusted, but in decent shape. Copper pots and pans and things like that. There is a brick oven, and there's a space for preparing food. And there's a little window that looks back out onto the garden. It does look like there actually used to be a door back there, but it's been walled over essentially.
Interesting. Just, I really don't, I'm not seeing a space where she could have made that scarecrow, or any place where she has her own personal belongings, because I doubt this is like her original house. I think she's kind of stowed away like we're stowing away right now.
And we didn't see any exterior entrance to like a root cellar or anything like that.
There might have been something like that in the back. We can say there was, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And that the access to that would only be from the outside. So
Yeah, and I don't want to do that at night.
Is there anything under that rug?
Do you move the furniture and lift it up?
Yes.
If you do that, there is indeed a trapdoor under the rug.
dun, dun, dun.
Ooh.
So maybe there is another entrance to the root cellar.
There's only one way to find out, says Cassian, reaching for the handle on that trapdoor.
It opens right up. It's not locked or anything. And there's a ladder that goes down.
Well, the night is young. We should look down in there. Have any of you know? I'm not trying to game the system. It is on Cassian's mind. And so I guess he's asking the other two. Have you noticed if inside the house there was any more life as there was outside?
Not really. At least nothing big or significant that I would notice.
You know, just outside, it's like buzzing, teeming with like fertility, and inside in here, not so much.
Wasn't the whole area like that a little bit?
And well, to be fair, there is a jack-o'-lantern outside.
Got it. So then that could mean the ring of corn could be one level of protection, and the jack-o'-lantern could be yet another level of protection.
Yes, to prevent like overgrowing inside the house. You don't want like plants rising up out there if like the scarecrow's out. You don't want it to accidentally attack you instead.
Also, I would point out the difference between the farmhouse area and the rest of this region is that while it's all filled with life, the farmhouse area is ordered. Like the corn seems like it's being tended to. The house is freshly painted.
Yeah.
And since like there's a trapdoor to the cellar, which could always just be using the cellar area and not me to go actually inside the house. So that's why it's all dusty. She just keeps it locked.
Also, she was here 100 years ago.
Yes.
So there's that part of it too.
Well, but it's freshly painted, so it's been freshly painted, right? More.
I mean, certainly not 100 years of faded paint, that's for sure.
So
Yes.
I feel like we've got one of two choices. Either we put something extremely heavy on that trap door and go to sleep, or we got to make sure that we know what's in there so we're not surprised by something coming out of it in the middle of the night.
I'm voting putting something very heavy on it. Just because it may not look like there's anything now. Who knows what happens in the middle of the night.
And in terms of exploring it, you'd rather explore it tomorrow when we're patched up?
Yeah. And having a little bit more daylight can always help.
Bonnie, how do you feel about it?
I hate it, but Obeha looks like they could use a good night's sleep. So why don't I sleep on top of this thing? I'll just pile all the heavy crap around it. And then I'll just sleep on top of it. So if it opens up, we'll know right away. How about that? I'm tired of being things jumping out at me. I'm tired of it.
Yeah, I mean, there was a rug over it, so it's unlikely that someone just hid under there before we arrived, but there could still be something down there. So that sounds like a good
Yeah,
plan.
because there was furniture on the rug too, right?
Yeah.
So
But that sounds like a good plan. So should we do that and recoup? It feels like we're safe from the crows with the scarecrow, and then we're safe from the scarecrow with perhaps the jack-o'-lantern, or at least it's shown no signs of attacking us.
Yes.
But we haven't really explored the inside of completely the inside of the farm, right, Jason? Like the
there's
upstairs.
not too much to see. I mean, there's just the 2 bedrooms upstairs, the back kitchen area, and the room you're in. So
Got it. Okay.
And
Alright,
the
so
kitchen is not stocked, right?
no. There's utensils and pots and things, but no food.
Okay. So before she goes to bed, Bonnie will pull any piece of heavy furniture that she can find on top of the trapdoor and make herself a little nest with Mavis. She will also check on Obeha and Cassian to see if they were hurt at all, and if there's anything that she can do. This is, whether this has an in-game impact or not. She's just basically tending wounds and making sure that nobody gets an infection and whatnot.
thank you.
Mhm.
Sounds good. You all are going to eventually, are you going to set a watch, or do you feel secure enough to not set a watch?
But Bonnie's paranoid. She's definitely going to volunteer to watch.
Okay, then we should split it so she gets some sleep.
Mhm.
So then, Bonnie, you're on first watch.
Happily.
I'll take second watch so that Obeha can sleep a good few hours.
Yeah, sounds good. Obeha. We have a special die roll here
Oh no. Oh no.
called the Nightmare Roll.
Mhm.
Please roll a dark die. You can just roll risk 1, or no, risk. Well, it doesn't really matter. Just roll a single die.
I'll just roll
a
ruin.
die. There we go. Good.
A 1.
A 1. You take a condition called the birthing dream. You are having a dream where you are laying on a bed of sunflowers, and irrespective of biology in the waking world, your belly is fat with child, and you are surrounded in the dream by beaming loved ones and onlookers. Please tell us what your treasure hunter fears the most. You can connect it to your drive if you wish.
I'm afraid of just not being myself any longer. I want to do, this is why I have my drive. I'm an unmasked Faeborn. I am trying to do a ritual that will reaffirm my mask.
And so what are you scared of?
I'm scared of becoming even more not human. I'm humanoid, but what if I turned into an animal, a creature, only driven by base desires?
In the dream, Obeha, you give birth to a manifestation of your fear. Each of us as players, Benoit, Alex, myself, we each get to add a detail describing how you're giving birth to your fear of becoming less human, becoming more wild. Whoever wants to start, please do.
I have something really twisted. So I'm going to ask permission of Chaotic to make it really kind of weird.
Sure. Let's take it step by step. Let's see how it goes.
Okay, so obviously Obeha gives birth in the dream. And the things she gives birth to, I won't go into those, but let's say that they're only vaguely human. And they come to nurse on Obeha. And Obeha finds that they're able to nurse in many different places.
How intriguing. I'm going to add that you're able to feed them like a crow feeds its chicks by regurgitating whatever it is you regurgitate to feed these fears. Anything you want to add, Benoit?
Well, life is selfish and right, life is selfish and finds a way. And I think one of those creatures is weaker than the others, and it gets eaten by the stronger ones.
Obeha, your sleep in the beginning of the night is fitful, and it would be unrestful if not for the fact that you're being given the entire night to sleep by your companions. You can reduce your ruin by 1 ultimately, because you will get enough sleep. Cassian, you're next to roll the nightmare roll. Roll a single dark die. If you need, you can just roll ruin to get 1 on the die roller. You got a 1 as well. You also take the condition, the birthing dream. And Cassian, you are also dreaming of laying on a bed of sunflowers, your belly fat with child, surrounded by beaming loved ones and onlookers. Tell us, out of character, what is Cassian most scared of?
You were muted.
You're muted.
He is, I think Cassian is most scared of the beyond. Like, what is beyond it all? The this thing beyond, just beyond reality that that he's been given to suspect makes a joke of what we think is reality.
Very
He's
interesting.
afraid of death, basically.
Some basics. Cassian has some pretty straightforward fears.
Yeah.
Reasonable. I think the birthing dream, the birth starts with you giving birth to yourself. Fully grown, you crawl out of yourself, except the version of you that's crawling out is slightly emaciated the skin dry and leathery, and your eyes are perfectly white. And you crawl out of yourself, looking at all the beaming loved ones and onlookers, just wildly. And they all just smile. Chaotic and Alex, would you like to add anything?
Yes, as the onlookers touch your newborn, as it were, the skin starts to melt a little, and it starts to just be like almost just you see the white bone shining through, and the sun in the sky is going down. It's getting dark, so very dark.
The thing that I will add is that as Cassian gives birth to himself, his consciousness migrates from the person giving birth to the birthee. And he looks back and the body just melts into a puddle of organic stuff.
Regrettably, Cassian, your sleep was too fitful and your ruin does not go down. Bonnie, please make the nightmare roll for when you go to sleep. Just roll ruin.
Who says I'm going to sleep?
I suppose you don't have to, but
No.
2. Your current ruin is 3. You have the same dream, laying on a bed of sunflowers with loved ones and onlookers and Mavis looking on, beaming. Your belly fat with child, Bonnie. Bonnie, what are you most scared of?
Bonnie is most scared of what happened when her parents disappeared. So she's scared of being alone and not having any community at all.
Go ahead and take the condition, the birthing dream. And I have an idea for the birth, but I'll let the others, since I started the last one, I'll let somebody else speak.
Even as you have these onlookers, they fade away into sort of vapors. It smells of salt water.
Yeah, I had a similar idea. They all as you're giving birth, you can't see what you're giving birth to, but they all turn away from you. They won't look at you, and then they disappear. Anything you want to add, Benoit?
No, I really like those.
And we never see what you give birth to. Someone takes the child, whatever it is, away from you, and you're not allowed to hold it. And regrettably, your sleep was too fitful and you will not lower ruin. And I think with that, we'll end our session there. Let us go ahead and do stars and wishes with the time we have remaining. Stars are things you enjoyed. Wishes are things you hope to see in the story next time. Take it away, whoever wants to go first. Again.
I really enjoyed just all the sort of callbacks there were of just like at least keeping on theme with the incursion, especially with Cassian being revealed that he worships some sort of crow creature.
Yeah, I thought this session was great for character development. I feel like I understand not only my own character a lot better now, but I understand the characters of the other two PCs as well. So that's always a great thing. And I think the level of creepiness was definitely pumped up in this on this. So, you know, increasing layers of creepiness, I think, is a good way of structuring these things. You don't want to like go big and then fade.
Yeah, and then the whole incursion, the whole overwhelming life theme is really kind of both kind of and body horror that's creeping in with that. It's nicely on brand throughout. That's very nice. And yeah, it starts to everyone. I like how the characters are not completely rational and goal driven, and so we're like it's like a little bit like herding a pack of cats, having the three of us move forward. I mean, it feels really real, and I enjoy that a lot.
Sorry, go ahead,
I was
Jason.
gonna say I'm enjoying the I like that so it was kind of interesting because in the first session we got this sort of like almost like this like big horror, like we had the big snake and then we had Malfast, we had all that stuff happening at the end. And then this session, the horror felt much more like intimate and small, which I thought was really great. It was very plain down in the secret shrine beneath the road shrine. And then in the house, it was more subtle in the horror, but it was like still very there. I mean, so much of the horror in the farmhouse was, I mean, there's really nothing bad happening to you all, but you all were very worried something bad was going to happen. So I think that was fun to watch and see how it played out.
Well, the dream happened.
Oh, the dream happened. Yeah, the dream happened at the end. But up until that point, though, there was really nothing like immediately dangerous. And yet I think I could feel the tension in the play, and I thought that was really enjoyable.
And so we didn't end up healing any ruin, right?
Obeha did.
Oh, we had it, good.
Yeah.
Only because
Obeha,
I slept the entire
whole time.
night.
Yeah.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to apologize if I draw too much attention. That's always a continuing balancing act for me, to just kind of like add, you know, when I have an idea, I want to add it to the story and trying to enrich the story, but I don't want to draw too much focus either.
I think it's all going fine.
I personally feel fine with it, especially with Obeha's just general demeanor of not wanting to draw attention to themselves and like trying to basically conceal themselves as much as possible. It's why I picked up the mask ritual, why I literally have on my person a wooden mask, just like it's just a theme with my character. And with Cassian, he's basically a rogue. That's his whole deal. So it
Yeah,
just seems to fit.
I haven't felt that way at all, Alex. I think it's interesting that because in this style of play, the turn taking is pretty rigid. I mean, I think we understand that Jason's going to bring the spotlight on each of us, and we kind of wait. We don't interject that much, so the structure moves forward. And because of that, I feel like really bold offers are not a problem as they would if we were just piling them on each other. So I didn't think that for a second, Alex, if that's helpful feedback. So keep it up. Keep it up.
Yeah, I don't even know what you're referring to, so it must be okay. So
I've definitely been playing Bonnie more as to a, you know, play to fail kind of.
No, I like it. I like this sort of like the reticence and the almost timidity. I think that's really interesting, actually. I think it's appropriate. I think it's appropriate for behavior for like this environment, right? Like this, I mean, and also Trophy. Like Trophy is not a heroic adventure game, right? Like it is a fantasy horror in dark, it's definitely fantasy horror, and in gold, it's kind of like the desperation comes out in the fact that these people should not be here. Like there's like nothing about any of this that is rational, right? And yet here you are. So yeah. Yeah, I'm really digging it. I like the thing I like about Hester's Mill, and I don't know if it's just like the way I wrote it or the way I run it. I'm sure it's some combination of the two, but Hester's Mill almost has this like it has this almost like sun-baked ponderousness to it sometimes, which I really love. Like it kind of it never really feels like you're like running or like running or dashing, or like it's never like that kind of, the pace feels like more folk horror, more pastoral, more full daylight horror. I just kind of, I like that feeling of it a lot, and that's coming through nicely.
Yeah, nearly a midsummer type.
Very midsummer. Yeah, it's got that vibe.
Mhm.
Yeah, definitely. And for wishes, I do hope you get down into the basement of the farmhouse to see what's there. I hope we get to go to the village. The village is the central feature of the myth of the incursion, and there are just basically, there are two more sets after this: the village and the gallows hill. So we should be able to wrap it all up next week, I think. So.
Yeah. I wish people besides me would use their tokens. You guys have so many tokens.
I have two. Do I really have that many? I have 2 tokens. What are you talking about?
Every time I want to spend a token, I run into something I have to either attack or run away from. So I feel like I'm always I'm too busy with that to say, oh yeah, and then I find something. But I will make a concerted effort.
The next set goal might be the one where you'll be glad you had them. So you never know. Fabulous. Any other stars or wishes?
Yeah, I wish I'm excited. I'm really excited to see Obeha's true nature revealed when that happens. That's gonna be.
I don't think Obeha is going to last this incursion, honestly, because of just how poorly I roll and how many times I've gotten to 5 ruin.
What a disaster it would have been if you had taken a watch and then gotten the nightmare, and then gotten the nightmare. You'd still be at 5 ruin right now, right? So, fantastic. Any other stars or wishes? Okay, I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording.